finally get into Real Housewives of New York. Josh, what were your thoughts on these housewives?
So this was the season that I thought was the most like what I expected from like Real Housewives. Like I got the taglines and more of the title card stuff, and the pacing from a production standpoint was not as hectic as I felt like some of the other ones were.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting like different show to watch. It almost feels like there's a different like team maybe working on it or something. So it was a lot easier to follow than the other ones for me, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is a trip. They're on their first cast trip of the season, so they're all kind of locked up and can't really do anything. We get to see them in close quarters over an extended period of time, which is always interesting because it's a contrast to, like you say, a standard episode like we got of Orange County and of Salt Lake City, where we see them a bit more in isolation or grouped off or whatever. There's no way to escape conflict for the most part.
Yeah, and you could definitely see that bubbling up a couple of times through the episode. There were, I can't remember which ones off the top of my head, but it was like Jessel and Sai in particular. There were a few times during it that I could tell they were like, "Why are we doing this right now? Just stop!" And it just was not gonna stop.
Yeah, totally. What highlights did you have from this episode?
This was definitely the episode that I took the most notes on. I was like, why is this happening? Why is this happening right now? It seemed like so it kind of opened on, I mean, one of my highlights was definitely Ubah's tagline, "My secret ingredient, darling, it's me." I don't know what to do with that. That's like KFC telling you that the 11 herbs and spices are all just like flour. Like, I don't think it helps the brand. So it's just like, of all the taglines, I was like, yeah, that's not a good one. Like, it's not helping you. Where at least like Brynn was like an awesome casual monster. Like, I love to laugh, but make me mad and I'll date your dad. Like, that was cool. She took a positive stance. A highlight was definitely getting the taglines. I was ready for those. What a weird jump from Jenna, you're trash for not sharing your real name with us, to be careful, Jenna, there's a lot of bones in that fish. And just the whole conversation about where Jenna was at emotionally and like how she needed to check in with the other housewives is wild to me.
Yeah, really fascinating moment there. The way that everybody's kind of circling around Jenna, like ready to criticize her, but also being like, but we want to love you more. Like, we want like more of your side of the story because we just love you so much. And also we're so angry at you for not sharing enough with us. Like, it's just like that blend of caring and hostility of everybody just kind of swarming her like sharks was like really fascinating to me.
And then like Jessel, right before that, they like asked her to tell more about herself, and they all tuned out immediately, and all of their talking heads were like, what a fucking, like, all about herself.
That was a really like bitchy edit they gave her though, because like you said, they're literally like, tell us something about you, Jessel, you have to share more, and then immediately transition into the look at her blabbering on edit with the crossfades and like the check this bitch out music's playing, and just all the reaction shots of them being like, oh my god, is she actually telling us about ourselves? We just said it as a joke.
Yeah.
That overshare edit is like the equivalent of a housewife dad joke that gets me every time. Like, every time they do it, I always end up like laughing at it. I just love to see it. So no complaints on that for me.
Yeah, to be fair, like, it's not that I don't understand the reaction. Like, when they do have a clip of her being like, and then my uncle was discovered by, like, why are you talking about your uncle? Who fucking cares about your uncle? And I do kind of get where they're coming from, even though I thought they kind of did her dirty, both the editors and everybody around here. But I do kind of get where they're coming from when she like kind of wants to join in the whole like, I had a rough upbringing too, thing, and nobody quite believes her, and I don't know what her upbringing actually was, so I don't know the facts, but I do get why they're suspicious, because I am too, because it's like Jenna says, like, well, it's the English accent. It's not just the English accent, it's the type of English accent she has, right? She's not talking like fucking Eliza Doolittle there. She's talking like, I hope your mom's ashes are at least in a Chanel bag or a Hermes bag.
Yeah.
She has a very entitled sort of English accent, which not fair to judge her solely on that, but it definitely does seem to tell you some things about her.
Also, compared to the SLC episode, which also only had one brand name drop, way to use it. I love it was in the context of mom's ashes and not random purse by the table.
Yeah. I did think like Sai's story actually really got to me. Like I was a little misty-eyed. Like it was a very good
totally
emotional moment. Like the specific details, them drawing the eyebrows on the park bench, those details were really was like very, very emotional to me. So
good
to have
story, well told.
Good story, well told. I mean, bad story, but like I know we know what we mean.
Effective story.
Yeah, we know what we mean. But it was like a funny like hard cut to switch to Jessel making that comment about like a Chanel bag after.
Also, the car ride after dinner. Do any of us believe that Erin really didn't know what WAP was? Do we?
No way.
I believe that.
No,
She's
I don't
square as fuck. Yeah. I think.
But like, if you were like walking anywhere with a radio in it, or playing like on speakers in 2022, I mean,
WAP. It was a cultural moment.
It was, yeah.
Like we all had a WAP for a minute.
It was also like during the pandemic, I think. So I wouldn't like blame somebody for like just not paying attention. Actually, no, wait.
All you could do is pay attention. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's all you had to do. I don't.
Yeah.
She had one job.
Okay, you're convincing me. Yeah, she's faking. But also, like, who was it? Was it Sai that said like she doesn't know what WAP is? She listens to ABBA. Like, these aren't mutually exclusive. Come on, us people who listen to both Megan Thee Stallion and ABBA need to have some respect. If you wanted to make that comment, you should have busted out the Grateful Dead, which we know that at least Abe listens to, and presumably her. That would have worked better.
And if anybody thinks that Megan Thee Stallion doesn't listen to ABBA, come at me in the comments. Let me know, because I'm pretty sure she does too.
I'm absolutely sure she does. Yeah, convinced
for sure.
Prove me wrong, Megan.
This dinner scene, I thought we got like a lot of housewives starting to show their maturity within the show. So for some context, Josh, this is like a reboot of Real Housewives of New York. All of these housewives are first year housewives, so they don't have the deep background in the game that you typically get from other shows. And I thought that we saw like really good moments, like with Jessel finding a way to not so subtly bring up the issue that Erin had with Brynn by making we'll do a dress swap, not a wife swap. I thought that was like a really good way to like stir things up without getting her hands all that dirty. I really liked how, Sai, who is pretty clearly on Brynn's side and aligning herself there, was trying to sort of play referee, and Brynn basically called her off and was like, I want to handle this myself, and sort of dealt with the situation in a way that was she could find some resolution that made it so that Erin can't really keep banging this drum anymore. I really appreciated that. And I also really love to see Erin just stewing and getting so pissed while people are ordering food, while she's like clearly just wanting to get into it, and everyone is just like putting their order in.
Yeah, so that was good. I would have killed to have been that waiter getting to just go around the table and get the orders while this woman's staring daggers at you.
And of course, it was Sai who orders the food too. Sai, who I'm increasingly convinced is just like a colony of tapeworms inside a human coat. Just asking for food every 5 seconds.
Josh, do you have any other highlights from New York?
I mean, this episode definitely had like the most stuff going on into it. I feel like the dinner had a lot of stuff, and then like their next day, kind of going into their afternoon on the beach, was sort of odd. Like, I feel like a lot of the like morning breakfast stuff was a little it was interesting from the perspective of they tried to use it as an opportunity to, like, I guess, jumpstart the drama again. Like Erin, Sia, and Brynn, like they're literally talking about like, oh, we're all on the same page again from last night, and then the breakfast ends in another fucking argument like right away. Like they're not talking again right away.
Yeah, I do enjoy Erin and Brynn's developing, as Ubah calls it, toxic relationship, where they're just like with faster and faster flipping the switch between like taking any opportunity to get at each other's throats and then immediately being like, but I love you, and then like going at each other with knives again the next moment they see each other.
But like then I felt like it was like an awkward pivot into the like random beach photo shoot, and I couldn't help but think the entire time that like what it must have been like to be on set with the cameras and having a producer be like, okay, say some photography type stuff over here. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you got it. Ladies, the choreographer is going to be here in 10 minutes, you know? And it felt like very I was like, why are you doing this right now?
The choreographer is just fucking Austin Powers.
Yeah, probably.
Dylan, what were your highlights from New York?
I do like the conversation. Like I'm still Team Brynn when it comes to like defending her like flirting with Abe at the party that sucked, and she shouldn't have backed down about saying that the party was boring. It was boring. She should have stood her ground. And so I still think that was funny and good, and that Erin's just being humorless about it. But I do think that Brynn's defense of being like, I was clearly fake flirting. Like, how dare you ever accuse me of ever considering possibly real flirting with like a person in a relationship, is like kind of overstating the point and doesn't really hold water for me. Like, I just think if you're going to pretend, like, the thing about flirting is that like what the difference between flirting and just hitting on somebody is the like playfulness of it, the fact that it's like unserious, right? Like that's like, I think like that's how you define the difference. Like, you know, from the most positive angle, it's just like it's like hitting on somebody with like a bit of role playing and play acting involved. But from like a more negative angle, it's like hitting on somebody with plausible deniability built in. So to say like that was like fake flirting, it's like, well, flirting is always like play acting, it's always a game. So I don't think you really get to like make that distinction between what's fake flirting and what's real flirting. I don't think there is a clear distinction there. So I don't think that was a strong line of defense, even though I'm still on Brynn's side for that.
And again, her tagline is, I love to laugh, but make me mad and I'll date your dad. So
that's the thing. You can't make your whole thing about like, I flirt with every dude no matter what. And then as soon as somebody gets mad at you for it, be like, how dare you accuse me of that? Like, that's what you've been saying 6 times every episode. Like, yeah. I just think getting to playing that, yeah, but this is fake and it's never actually real, is like just kind of like, is try to rest your defense on like a false dichotomy there. But it was an interesting conversation.
One last thing, and then I'll shut up. My favorite moment of all of this was like, it was 40 minutes of vapid nonsense that ended on this stellar line, what are you, a Federalist? Like talking about the George Washington. I was like, what? That was hysterical. Get those words out of your mouth. It was so good.
Dylan, did you have any other highlights from New York?
Ubah is a highlight. I didn't expect her to take Erin's side. That was unexpected. But you know, good for her to take kind of a different position than the other girls.
I also like that she made it clear in her confessionals that she was not specifically taking Erin's side, but taking the side of a married woman.
Right, taking the side of the principal, not the actual situation, kind of.
Yeah.
Just lots of like classic, like cute airhead Ubah moments. When somebody suggested need to change the topic, and she's like, "Nobody's told me I look beautiful today." Like, that was just a funny delivery.
She was like a spokesperson for Africa for a good 10 minutes.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. She was
totally.
being like, if this is paradise, Africa's heaven or something. That was cool. Like, also, we see her waking up in bed, and she's reading. You know, something you don't always see these women do, reading a book. And usually, if they do, they like blur out the cover. And they didn't really blur out the cover enough on this one, because I was very easily able to find Soulmates by Iris Gateno Tarbuck. And it is wild, man. It is I downloaded it today. And it's just like self-help kind of stuff, but about like finding your soulmate and like how to have good sex and stuff, written by this Israeli woman. And like, I think it was, as far as I can tell, it was originally published in English, which is wild because it reads like Google Translate, like just like very awkward broken sentences. Just things like, if you want love, live, be in love with life, believe that you are worthy of love, and the energy with which you will then radiate will turn your dreams into reality. To achieve that, you have to work much on yourself, removing your blockages from the past, elevate your heart frequency, get to know and start loving yourself. Sometimes you don't have to do all this because life may occasionally be a game with accidental winnings. Don't
Girl,
take
tell
yourself, life, love rigidly and too seriously. Let the unplanned variances happen. Believe that your life is already perfect and that it is remarkably leading you towards the fulfillment of your wishes. And it just goes on that like that for like 100
That's a
pages.
very long sentence.
It's so cool. There was a couple sentences in there and one ellipsis, to be fair. But I do kind of want to get a tattoo that says life may occasionally be a game with accidental winnings. Because there's something just kind of like, there's a haunting mystery about that broken phrase that like really appeals
There's
to me.
an uncomfortable truth there that I don't like acknowledging. Yeah, it's a good one.
There's also this whole passage about why like a woman's vagina is like an octopus that sucks energy out of a man, which seems to really misunderstand both vaginas and octopuses. I'm obviously I've
You sure you don't want to get that one tattooed?
There's room for both. Anyways, I was pleased because I would expect Ubah to read something this fucking weird, and it's always nice for me to have like a glimpse into like what some of these weirdos read, because like for another show I was doing, I was like researching some stuff that used to be like published in America in like the 1600s and 1700s, and like tracks about like theosophy and things, and like weird pseudo philosophical things that people used to publish all the time and used to read, that are just going on like vibes and dreams about like, this is my conception of the world. And it's just always cool when you come across something and you realize that kind of shit never stopped. You just like, it's just not part of the things that you're used to paying attention to, but there is a whole bunch of other people out there who are reading like all these like very strange, like, you know, vibes based pseudo philosophical self-help books. I appreciated opening that little trap door and falling down it for a couple hours. So thanks, Ubah. Thanks for that.
And what was the name of the book again?
Soulmates. There's a subtitle too, which is something about like finding love, and I don't remember what the subtitle is, but yeah. So check it out. I'm gonna be recommending that.
What was that author again?
Yeah,
Iris Gateno Tarbuck.
And look out for the film adaptation on Fireside. Any other highlights from New York, Dylan?
No, not really. I mean, I think we pretty much covered all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that about does it for me as well. The one other thing that stood out to me is that I was absolutely shocked on the drive home that Erin mentioned that she's the youngest one of this group. Like, I don't know, were you guys surprised by that at all?
That's
not really, to be honest. I mean, Brynn also seems youthful, but she's also said that she's 36 in a previous episode, so that didn't like blow my mind that she's the youngest. No.
Okay.
Who did you think was the youngest then?
I would have assumed Brynn was the youngest, actually.
Yeah, she's the other competitor, right?
I would have guessed, Brynn or Ubah, but Erin, I don't know. I would have put Erin as at least as old as Sai, probably older. Or Jessel actually seems younger too. So, no, yeah, I would have expected that Erin was oldest or second oldest, really? To be honest.
Don't let her hear that.
Yeah, won't tag her in that reel, that's for sure.
But you all look 21. You all look 21.
Yeah.
No, just like not so much the way they look, just the way that like she carries herself, just being so uptight.
Sure. Yeah. The way she's married to a man who's a deadhead. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess one other thing that kind of came to mind while thinking about these episodes that we were covering kind of back to back is I am starting to come around to what Erin is bringing to the table as a housewife, and
Butternut
the fact,
soup.
yeah,
Sorry,
well,
go on.
she's she's very like unlikable, but it really comes down to like her hypersensitivity is what is her best quality as a housewife. She's not likable, but she takes everything personally and is like really resentful of anything that anyone says. But I like another housewife that is like that we saw this week. We saw it kind of manifest a little bit on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with Meredith. She's a very like hypersensitive housewife, and I just find her so much more likable, like immediately likable than Erin, and I can't really put my finger on why that is.
Maybe Erin just needs more seasoning in the game. She also does give off a little bit of an entitlement vibe too, I think, which is part of her unlikability for me anyways. Like there's like a bit of a whiff of that but it is a good point that her sensitivity is like a valuable asset. It's something that the shows need too. You need sensitive people. You don't just need the stirrers with the spoons in every pocket. You need people with cups to be stirred. There has to be, people who react.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think that Meredith is maybe a little better at being nuanced in how she like leverages the social capital she's built up from the one fucking episode I've seen. Where I will say that it sort of felt like Erin was like brash maybe, or like more like on the nose with the way she's trying to like, I'm trying to make a problem right now, here's a non-issue.
A little less delicate about how she like approached those situations for sure.